Well, I do like our team. I think that we're a long ways away from being good right now, but I don't think there's very many, or if any teams right now are very good this early. But we're big, we're fairly athletic. We can make plays you can't coach athletically in some areas, and then of course we have some speed on the perimeter. So I think the pieces are there for us to have a big year and play well. I'm not sure that our skill set is quite caught up to our athletic ability in some ways, because we do need to shoot the ball more consistently better and in order to really take advantage of having some bigs that can operate inside and do some damage. But I like them, and they've been terrific. They're coachable, and they try hard and seem to pick up stuff pretty quickly.
Coach, you mentioned to us that you were more motivated this year, going into this year than you have been or you hope to be. Do you feel that's kind of worked its way through your team? I mean, are these guys more motivated than most teams you've had at this point?
I think that I don't want to make it sound like I haven't been motivated in the past, because I would like to think that I'm pretty turned up each and every year. But I certainly feel like this has been a unique off season for us, and through that, I think I have been gifted some things that would certainly put perspective and focus and motivation at the forefront of what we need to do. And certainly, you know, the thing about it is when you coach, at least collegiately, there's so many things on the outside that can affect your preparation with that particular team. And I think the things on the outside that could affect my preparation have been things that probably, you know, motivate me to stay more focused. So I think in a very strange way, that part is a positive.
Bill, what's the impact of getting that? What's the impact for you and for your players of getting that NCAA letter a couple of weeks ago with the level 1 allegations?
Well, I'm not sure it was the impact was actually a couple of weeks ago, Mark. I think because we had anticipated that could potentially be the outcome, and we have prepped our players that could potentially be the outcome. So I don't feel like it was a shock to receive it. Certainly disappointing, but not a shock based on the turn of events that have occurred obviously since the trial.
And how will you and this program counter those allegations?
Well, like I said in my statement initially, without going into detail, we're going to fight them. We are aligned as a university, an athletic department, and certainly our basketball program aligned in a way that we haven't had a chance to tell our stories on what these allegations say that could have transpired, and I put the emphasis on the allegations. There is still a story that hasn't been told, and that would be our story, that will be obviously told in a way that is consistent with the NCAA process, and when it's the right timing to do that and the public can be aware of that, then I very much look forward to that day. But right now, you know, we're locked up, and as we wait for that opportunity.
Some people have said to me that they feel like you almost personally, by the video going into the record store with the chain and the Adidas shirt and the late night with Snoop and the dancers and the money gun, that you're almost putting up a middle finger to the NCAA. How do you address those thoughts?
Well, that has actually been a narrative that some people have used since this, and if anybody that knows me knows that I'm not smart enough to figure out some of those things that have transpired that would relate to anything other than that moment. If you followed us, I do stuff for late night every year. This year was no different. It just I happened to be wearing an Adidas shirt, which happens to be our sponsor for our next 14 years. That helped sponsor the event. It was innocently given to me, and I just put it on. And certainly the things, you know, and I've already addressed and spoke to what happened the other night. I don't know how an entertainer would in any way, shape, or form be thought to be sticking it to anybody, including the NCAA, by having an entertainer perform. So I do not like the narrative that has been said concerning that with me, but I also understand that, you know, I can't control what the media writes or their opinions, and I do know, and people that know me know that that's not factually true in any way, shape, or form.
Bill, given the events of the offseason, are you expecting more hostile road environments, and how do you tackle that given the struggles last year in road games?
Well, I think that's a good question, but you know, we've also been the best road team around over a course of years, and last year we didn't have our strongest group, especially playing away from home. But I do think that the things that have happened and the way it's been presented through the media, and also, you know, the reality of receiving a notice of allegations does give maybe opposing venues ammunition or ways to try to use to somehow get under our skin. But if you compete and play at a high level consistently, there's many times you thrive on that as much as it is a detriment to your performance.
Hey Bill, I'm over here next to celebrity.
Is that next to Bob Davis? Okay, yeah.
The Bill Self toughness meter has always been a tough one. You're tough on toughness and grading your players out. Early on, what's your feel on the toughness level for this team, and also just for some of the new guys coming in and how they register?
I think that we've got a good group. You know, you never know how tough you are until a team sees their own blood. You know, till we get punched in the face and have to focus and think next play. I think there's such a big difference between trying hard and competing. You know, everybody tries hard, but you know, are you able to handle each situation in a way to look next play and focus under pressure, execute under pressure? That's competing, and you know, I don't know where this team is on that scale, but I would know from a physical standpoint and from a trying standpoint, I think we're on the same pace as other good teams that are tough teams have been.
Bill,
Go ahead.
Coach, could you address, you talked about it at the opening, but the athleticism and energy that your front court brings, what options does that open up for you to return maybe to some of the style of basketball you traditionally like to coach, and you know, those kind of things that are there for you this year?
Well, you know, I think whoever the coach is, and you say traditionally like to coach, you know, we've recruited really well here, but we haven't recruited in a way that we're going to recruit this person because he fits just this need. We've always recruited in a way to try to get our best players on the court, and you know, these past 3 years we played small. Historically, we haven't played small. This year, to put our best players on the floor, we're going to go back to playing big, and that doesn't mean we won't play small some, but we'll go back to playing big. And so, I don't think it's necessarily my favorite way to play. I don't think it's not my favorite way to play. Or it's not my favorite way to play. I just think we just try to, you know, do and adjust and tweak that best fits us to give us the best chance. And what gives us the best chance is obviously getting our best athletes and our best players out there, understanding that's not going to be the case 100% of the time, and you know, 30 or 40% of the time we'll probably make adjustments and do something different. But it's hard for me to think of a scenario where Doak and Silvio and David and possibly Mitch, although this is still up in the air about Mitch and what we're going to do this year with him. But I'm real excited about having that option.
Bill, speaking of that, it's been a few years, like you said, since you played big and the game's changed a little bit. How has Silvio been on the defensive end, particularly his perimeter defense, and how do you think he'll kind of adjust to that?
Well, that'll be CJ, that'll be a big question on how much we can do it. You know, if you're playing a team that basically plays 4 guards and the 4th guard is 6'8" but can really shoot, that's a different assignment than he's ever had. So that'll definitely play into it. Yeah, or we could look at, you know what, to keep that team together, do we play zone? And you know, we've actually just, you know, it's a bad zone, but we've actually put in a zone that earlier this year than we have probably at any point in time.
Anything on his perimeter defense you've seen so far, just from practice, that you can tell?
Yes, it can get a lot better. So, but he's doing fine, but he's just not used to guarding out there.
Coach, you got a lot of newer guys this year, and especially with Dotson being the only guy to return that played all 36 games for you guys last year. What are you looking forward to with some of these newer guys stepping up in like leadership positions?
You know, but that is a good point. But Marcus Garrett's a junior that's played a ton of minutes, and Ochai Abaji, I think you guys know. I mean, he's poised to have a bust out year and be as good as anybody on the wing anywhere. So I believe that we do have good experience in the backcourt. There's a difference between experience and leadership, and that's an area that we certainly have to get better at. But the young guys, you know, whether it be Christian, Tristan, or Jalen, I mean, those are guys that need some experience around them to give them the best chance. But hey, I think they're beyond their years right now, and I can see them being able to play in big moments early, even though it's not really fair for us to ask them to do that, and you'd rather rely on experience, but I think they'll be capable of doing that.
Hey, Bill, obviously you had a chance to watch Christian play quite a bit last year with him being kind of a local kid. It seems like the kind of guy with his size that can do a lot of things for you. What maybe attracted your attention to him, and what maybe can he contribute right away?
Well, he's a good player. You know, he's been well drilled. He's a good player. He's kind of a jack of all trades guy. He's got good size. You know, however tall he is, 6'6", 6'7". He's tough enough that he could defend the 4, which could allow us to play small some. Will be one of the better perimeter shooters on our team, and he's the best we have at keeping balls alive. I mean, simple things like that. He gives your team a chance to score off broken plays because he can keep balls alive and things like that. But I think he's better than what we probably thought he would be at this stage, further along.
What does it mean to have Perry back, finishing up his degree and back around the program?
Well, it stinks for Perry because obviously we wish he was in Japan and making money and doing all that stuff like he was scheduled to be. But you know, when he tore his patella tendon, you know, it's basically a 12-month rehab. That was something that we immediately, I mean, that took no time. We got to get him back with the program, and he's working with our guys in video, and he'll get good at that, which will help prep him for after basketball. But I love having him around. He was when he played here, he'd get the quietest 18 or 20 every night. But people forget he's the 9th leading scorer in the history of the school. I mean, he had an unbelievable career, and he's represented us so well, you know, academically in every way, shape, or form. So having him back, I think he'll be a good role model for all the young guys.
You guys added Isaiah Moss as a transfer. What does he bring to the team?
Well, shooting, you know, I've always thought if you had to shoot well to play well, then you probably weren't a complete player. But the longer you get in the game, I mean, that's such a big part of the game is making shots. And here's a guy that I think he shot 41 or 42 from 3 at Iowa. So if that translates, even though they're moving the line back a foot or whatever, if that translates to, you know, 40% here, that's something that we desperately needed. I think he's a good player. He's hurt right now. He's tweaked his hamstring and hadn't been 100%, but he will be in a week or so. But I see him having a great opportunity to, you know, be in that starting role or playing starters minutes if he doesn't start.
Hey, do you have any thoughts on the law in California about players being able to profit off their image and likeness? And I know it's not here yet.
What is it? The Fair Pay to Play Act?
Right.
Senate Bill 206, is that right? Okay. Don't know anything about it. I actually think it's a very, very positive step. I think it puts it on the front porch or of everybody involved with the NCAA. I think it's been long overdue to give student athletes the same opportunities that general students possess. I mean, there's nothing that says a general student can't go to school, be on scholarship, and go work and make money on the side and do whatever. I think obviously student athletes would have more access to do different things in order to do that. So I think it's a good first step, and legally where it ends up, I have no idea. The one thing that I would hope that does happen, I hope it's a uniform law and become a rule. I mean, I don't believe California and New York or South Carolina can have it, and other states can't. So it'll be interesting how that all plays out, but I certainly think it puts it. Pressure may not be the right word, but it certainly puts it in the NCAA's court that we have to have the most serious of discussions to try to figure out what direction this needs to go.
Got time for 2 more questions?
Bill, what do you expect the timeline to be for the NCAA, and what's your process in the meantime?
Well, I don't know all the details because I'm not an attorney, but from what I have been told is we get a certain amount of days to respond to the notice of allegations, which I believe is 90. Maybe longer in certain situations because there's been some things that have come out that may extend that, but I'm not in on that. That would be a attorney answer. The NCAA has obviously 60 days to respond to our response, and then that will then be turned over to the Committee on Infractions or whoever handles it to study, and then we would meet before them at whatever point that is. So the immediate future is something that we don't see that it's possible to have everything in place to get everything done, obviously, before the timeline that I just mentioned. So this is my opinion, and certainly I don't have anybody to support this with me, but my opinion would be late spring, early summer, before this thing could possibly be concluded.
Do you have any concerns that it could affect this season and this team?
No. My concern with this team is preparing them to have the best season we can possibly have and to play as deep into March as we possibly can. That's my focus. That's our players' focus. There's been nothing that has been stated to me by anybody that would temper that motivation or excitement to do that.
Last one in the back of the room there.
Coach, has this team's focus with all the allegations that are surrounding this team, has this team's overall focus impressed you?
As a coach, I think you want to be in a position where your players learn from you. But what amazes me in being a coach is how much we learn from them in the hope that we teach them. I hope that we just teach them as much as they teach us. And so I believe our players' focus is terrific, but also understand this: there's nobody on our team that is directly impacted by these allegations. So I don't believe that I think our guys will play with a free mind. I think that there'll be potential distractions out there because they will be asked the same questions all year long. And we talked about that, and that'll make us tougher and harder and more together than we've ever been. But I don't see this being a distraction for them. I'm not saying that it won't enter into their mindset, but I don't see them seeing how this affects them in this year.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, thanks.